Welcome to the Playbook. I'm David Meltzer here live at the Wynn Hotel in Las Vegas, right here in the lobby at the greatest studios ever built, the Blue Wire Studios here in Las Vegas. And I have such an interesting guest coming on, the CEO and co-founder of Madison Reed, Amy Errett. Welcome to the Playbook.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I'm super excited because, as much as technology is accelerating at an exponential rate, creating changes that you and I have never seen before, and I'm sure as with the experience that you have as we thought it was a big deal when they created the ATM or a cell phone or a fax machine even, not to date us. But, I play around with Chat GPT and I'm thinking to myself, you gotta be kidding me. Like some of this stuff is not even real. But there is still use and value for a lot of traditional platforms. And if you know how to use technology as your servant, we can have a multitude of value that's provided in a multitude of platforms. And consumers have so many different choices that I think, whether it's media or e-commerce or commerce in general, that people discount how much or how many people, for example, still listen to radio or still buy things in a store. And so we have to have this dualistic or multi-purpose to our lives to effectuate alignment with our values. How do you see the multitude of choices that exist, especially within commerce?
Yeah, I think it's a great point. I remember during COVID when some potential investors and ours told me one flaw in your strategy: don't open any more stores because retail is dead. And my response to that is no, no. Human beings like to shop online. Human beings like to research online. Human beings like to walk into stores. Human beings like to walk into somebody else's store and buy your product, and sometimes they want to walk into your store and buy your product. It's sort of like when people said that TV was dead or radio was dead. And instead, we're consuming everything, right? We're listening to the radio and the TV's on, and we're on our iPad. So I agree with you. We call it omni-channel, and that is kind of how we think about meeting the customer exactly where they are.
And to that end, a lot of people don't have that strategy. They're not looking at what the customers are looking for or listening for. And especially with social media, there seems to be a lot of snapshots of reality that are talking to people, trying to, in
Yes.
the old school, we called it dumping our features and benefits on you, overselling, back end selling, lying, manipulating, and cheating. Uh, Today, it's even more important to meet people where they're at. What are some of the techniques with the vast experience that you have in your space of how do you meet people where they're at when there is this omni-channel environment?
Yeah. We're in this very large space that nobody was paying attention to, which is hair color. And just a little statistic about that: 85% of all the women over 18 in the U.S. color their hair, and if you're over 35, you're doing it at least every 6 weeks. So this market is massive, and we figured out a way to meet that customer exactly where they are. So, for instance, we have a website. You answer 18 questions. There's a sophisticated algorithm that's going to get you your recommended shape versus going into Walgreens and buying a box that's highly toxic. We have the best ingredients that are out there, have taken out the harsh chemicals. So we've taken this approach, which is if you want it delivered to your door, we can do that with customization. If you want to come into our stores and have us apply hair color for you, we have hair color bars, about 90 of them throughout the country. And we use mobile technology, primarily an app, because the quickest way for primarily a woman, but some men, to make an appointment is by having an app on their phone, clicking a button, and getting a reminder SMS. That's it. And so we have found that to be that our job is we reinvented the product in the category. But the most important thing is the access and convenience that our customers want and desire. We're also in every Ulta store. And so, we have a great partnership with Ulta. And why wouldn't we open up the channel? We also are on Amazon. So we have taken an approach, Dave, which is we have to make ourselves available to everyone in every mode that they want to buy because we think we're the best prestige product that there is.
And that's what I heard, which is why I wanted you on here as well. Being someone who does utilize the Gray Away product as a male, and I try to illuminate or be as vulnerable as I can, because one of the things that's great, I think, about omnichannel is certain things are more embarrassing to certain people. And as we get older, it's really interesting. I was someone who would joke around about, oh, I don't know why people would ever, dye their hair or fix their face or do all these things that I do to myself, let alone all the
Right.
different testosterone things that people are embarrassed of, or there's so many things as you get old that some people have varying degrees of being embarrassed. And for me, my family is just more embarrassed about me than they are about the stuff that I do, which is fine. um, but I think the omni-channel approach really allows you, like you say, to have the privacy in vanity, which is the business that you're in providing the empowerment of people feeling better about themselves without diminishing their confidence that they somehow have taken advantage of technology to make themselves look better, which I'm fine with.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I have a funny story. When we first started the company and we were sort of in a beta, we had a box that was sent to you that was very beautifully branded in purple, which is our color. And we kept getting feedback, please don't send me that box. And we were trying to figure it out. And what we came to understand is if you're getting it at work, right, where a lot of people get things, or they used to, I guess, or you don't want a spouse or somebody else to know, your neighbor, um, they just wanted it in a craft box. And so we needed to effectively change for the convenience of what is most comfortable for our customer base.
And you have a huge customer base, and I know that even within the
Huge.
context of my wife, and how she's gonna be mad at me, right? How often she colors
Okay.
her hair, whatever. But even myself, but men's vanity is growing. We're not slowing down,
Huge.
especially I assume with baby boomers growing, that there's a
Huge.
greater need
Yep.
all the time, which means that marketing is so important because when you have such a large audience and such a great quality product and history and legacy of your company, it's more about awareness. You don't have to
Absolutely.
explain. You don't have to explain it as if you were a new company, but you need to really carry the frequency so that more men and women resonate and say, if I'm going to do this, one, I feel comfortable doing it in this way, and I'm more comfortable with this company because they do it that way better and the product is better, more sustainable, et cetera, all the great value that you provide. What are some of the new marketing techniques that you're using in order to raise the awareness to such a huge audience?
Yeah. So you hit it on the head. I don't need to teach somebody that they want to color their hair,
Yeah, even a
right?
man. Like
Yeah.
just saying gray away, I
I
get
I
it.
I love that men color their hair, Dave. I love you. But so you hit the nail on the head, which is we need to increase awareness of the quality of the product and the access of the product and the ease of use. And the most important thing, believe it or not, is matching color. Because where people really get nervous is, are you going to put something on my head that screws my appearance up? Right. The risk of this, the friction point is very, very high versus something else. So, from a marketing standpoint, we use a whole host of things. Some of them are old school, like radio and podcasts, by the way, have been our winning formula. We were one of the first companies that went to radio in 2016 and started to build the brand awareness because we thought, well, she is probably driving her kids to school or going to work in the car. And so why not talk directly to her? And by the way, there's very few women voices on radio ads. Just go
It's
ahead and
interesting.
listen yourself, and they're not. So we knew that if I told a personal story, which is true, mom starts hair color company named after kid, which by the way is the number one Google term, founders hair color company named after kid. So we know radio works and podcast. And we figured out that 60 seconds, because of the friction point that I just told you about, was much more important to us to tell the virtues of the product to reduce the fear and friction point. So 60 seconds was important. We've dabbled a little bit in TV, but as I call it, to be frank with you, I think where companies make a mistake, it's like putting a pebble in the ocean. You're going to drop it and you're like, well, I need a lot more money to get a boulder in the ocean. So, we've done some streaming, we've done some YouTube TV. That's been interesting. But it sounds odd, but we're pretty old school. Direct mail works for us,
Wow.
whether that's postcards, whether that's trifold right in somebody's house. We know that somebody's got to see us 3 times before they'll try us. And our stores are a huge marketing. What I try to tell our folks is it's like a billboard that's constant, right? So, the front of the stores are absolutely critical. Referrals, 35% of every customer coming into a store is either through a referral from a friend or a walk by. But we've dabbled with a whole bunch of different things. Of course, SMS and of course, email are tried and true prospecting tactics. But the truth of this is rubber meets the road, hardcore. I'm very old school in a certain way. You need to have a magnitude of influencers that of such status to move the dial for what you pay. So that micro influencer strategy we've tried a couple times hasn't really moved the dial. So it's sort of tried and true. You got to earn your way. And effectively, the brand tips when people start talking about it with each other.
Which is once again very old school to think
I'm
about.
old school, Dave.
Yeah, me
I
too.
like revenue. There's some things that I like. I like revenue. I
Yeah.
like when people buy
Profit.
things over and over
Profit.
again. It's blasphemy, Dave. It's blasphemy.
I know. Well, I'm the same way. People say, Dave, what's the most effective way of marketing? I'm like, actually providing value to someone.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
Exactly.
then they're going to tell everyone else, hey, this is awesome. Have you tried it? And to look at that is exceptional. It's interesting because there is one nuance that I think in the digital space, because I'm old school and I talk about those who articulate a quantitative value to exceed what they're asking for and manage the expectation are going to succeed. It just takes a matter of time because that
Yeah.
person's going to brag about the fact that I paid $20 for what I feel is worth 100. And when that happens,
Yes.
every man and woman loves to brag about it. And it's
Yeah.
a very,
What I try to say, sorry, is that
yep.
people don't want cheap hair color, right? Like that's right.
Yeah,
Like there's a lot of like I don't want a cheap healthcare visit.
yeah.
Right? Like there's a couple things that go into the account. I want cheap hair color. But what I want is I want quality for value.
It's so interesting because my younger brother is 5 years younger than I, and he looks older because his hair is gray. And he literally just said to me, my daughter graduated college, so we have, of course, the graduation party.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And he says, "Wow," he's like, "What do you eat, or like, how do you keep your hair?" And I like literally, it was shocking to him. He's like, "Really?" And I go, "Yeah, it's like a gray wave dye. Like, it takes minutes. It's easy. I just go in there and of course, I'm advertising for you, and and I don't even know it. But meanwhile, I'm providing value to him because he just doesn't know. And I think that's what we try to capture. And it's interesting that people look at micro influencers, and they'll call me as a micro influencer with the podcast that I
Sure.
have and things. And I'll be more honest about that. Just because I tell people, even on this podcast, I said, I'm hoping that one or two people I empower to go ahead and Google once again, founder, that's named after their kid, to so that happens. But where the real value is for the one or two people, out of the millions of people that are going to see this podcast, out of those one or two, where that becomes hundreds of thousands of people is really
Well,
on you. Because if they
exactly.
go and you manage and develop the vision correctly, the two turns to four, four turns to eight,
Exactly.
and you
Yeah.
and I have that vision as well. Now, to that measure, we it is a technology what you do, and a lot of
Yes.
people may not know the advancements in that tech. Like I'm amazed of just the concept of gray away that I still can have a little bit of gray in there, and I'm
Yes.
not. What my vision when I first did it, my fear was I would have orange head because that's what the
Yeah.
old men had when I was little.
Right.
They had orange head. you know,
Yeah, or shoe polish, as I call it.
yeah,
That's the
shoe
other
polish. Yeah,
version.
that's exactly right. Wow, you must be in the industry. How you talked about the sustainability, but how has technology itself in the product changed? But more importantly, where do you see it going? Is there going to be, like, my vision was that someday you would have like Rogaine and hair color, like you'd have a hair growth combined with it, even, or something like that. Is that
Yeah.
possible?
It's, the answer is yes. The only little bit about the technology is Rogaine or hair growth has to be applied more often than most people color their hair. That is not to say that we can't put some ways for hair growth stimulant within hair color. So for us, we are ultimately a consumer packaged goods company. We are a beauty company. We develop our own product. We make it in Italy, where the European Union standards are quite high. And so we knew when we developed this vision for an eat-free formula to take out the harsh chemicals, that we had a much better chance of doing that in Europe, which was true. We have a whole skew of product lines, including a men's product called, Madison Reed Men. And there is a ton of technology that's out there. We're introducing a new product this summer, which is more what I would call about like strengthening hair, especially hair that's been colored with regardless of product over years and years and years. And so, yeah, the technology's there. We have a big product roadmap. We're excited about it. I think the issue for many companies, and we're no different, is that you have to put as a smaller company, initially, you put your foot in the ground with what I would call a hero SKU.
I love it.
And our hero SKU was permanent hair color. And then from there, we've built a whole line of customized shampoos and conditioners, masks, color depositing masks, glosses, a powder to just cover your roots for temporarily for the day that comes in a compact. So there's a lot of technology we have. And then there's the digital technology. That's what I call the product technology. And then there's a digital technology of able to take a selfie and a picture of your hair, and I can show you our color on one side and your natural, and then you swipe, and then you have the ability to see all colors. Or I have a chatbot that actually takes the picture and analyzes the photo and tells you what shade. So there's a lot that has built into this company from both digital product as well as physical product.
Well, I love, Amy, the fact that you're using technology as your servant, not as a master, and you're giving a different meaning to the
Exactly.
past to accelerate in a trajectory of where you want to be as a business and even better. Amy Errett, a leader, a CEO and founder of Madison Reed, for both men and women, by the way. I will highly recommend that you check it out online or in a store. It's easy to find, leading the way. I can't wait to see what you do next. And I also will give you an immense amount of gratitude for making me look good as well. Thank you, Amy Errett, for joining me here at the Wynn Hotel in the lobby with Dave Meltzer and the Playbook. Thank you.